Hi. I'll just play for a minute while we um, let the last few people finish shoveling and make it to their living rooms, and we'll begin. If anybody who's is not muted, could you go ahead and mute yourself? I think first Brooklyn account maybe or something.
Good morning. Today's mystical reading comes from the words of Frederick Buechner. I remember sitting parked by the roadside once, terribly depressed and afraid about my daughter's illness and what was going on in our family, when out of nowhere a car came along down the highway with a license plate that bore on it the one word out of all the words in the dictionary that I needed most to see exactly then. The word was trust. The owner of the car turned out to be, as I had suspected, a trust officer in a bank. And not long ago, having read an account I wrote of the incident somewhere, he found out where I lived and one afternoon brought me the license plate itself, which sits propped up on a bookshelf in my house to this day. It is rusty around the edges and a little battered, and it is as also as holy a relic as I have ever seen. Please join us in singing our opening hymn, number 83, Winds Be Still. Lyrics can be found in our virtual order service or here on the screen.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence.
We welcome each other into this space of love, inclusion, and compassion. We create sacred space together. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, whatever the color of your skin or your country of origin, whatever your gender or the source of your faith, you are welcome here.
Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here.
Hello, everyone. Please join me in reading the words of our chalice lighting. Blessed is the fire of our faith and the chalice of our community. Blessed is the living tradition that is carried forward in our work and in our love. Blessed is the transient flame we kindle here. Blessed is the illuminated moment of our gathering. Blessed is the light of the eternal. Blessed is the sacred call of life to which we give ourselves in answer.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue.
Hello, everyone. My name is Octavia. I'm your leadership leader today. It is my honor to introduce Reverend Ned Wight. The Reverend retired in August 2019 from his position as minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Shelter Rock in Manhasset, New York. Prior to that, he served for a decade as executive director of the same congregation's UU Fetch program, which makes grants to social change organizations around the country. He has also served UU congregations in California and Massachusetts. He holds degrees from Harvard Divinity School, Boston University, and Stanford University.
Good morning. What a great pleasure to be with you. And I couldn't help but think this reminds me of 5 years ago, how all worship was. Shout out to your extraordinary tech team and your staff for putting together the resources to make this all happen. And I am honored and delighted to be with you this morning.
Good morning. My name is Emily Hockaday, and I use she, her pronouns, and I will be reading the wisdom story today, which is from Frog and Toad Together. I'm going to be reading The Garden. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. "What a fine garden you have, Frog," he said. "Yes," said Frog. "It is very nice, but it was hard work." "I wish I had a garden," said Toad. "Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the ground," said Frog, "and soon you will have a garden." "How soon?" asked Toad. "Quite soon," said Frog. Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. "Now seeds," said Toad, "start growing." Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head close to the ground and said loudly, "Now seeds, start growing." Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds did not start to grow. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, "Now seeds, start growing." Frog came running up the path. "What is all this noise?" he asked. "My seeds will not grow," said Toad. "You are shouting too much," said Frog. "These poor seeds are afraid to grow." "My seeds are afraid to grow?" asked Toad. "Of course," said Frog. "Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them, let the rain fall on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow." That night, Toad looked out of his window. "Drat!" said Toad. "My seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark." Toad went out to his garden with some candles. "I will read the seeds a story," said Toad. "Then they will not be afraid." Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds. And all the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not start to grow. "What shall I do?" cried Toad. "These must be the most frightened seeds in the whole world." Then Toad felt very tired, and he fell asleep. "Toad, Toad, wake up," said Frog. "Look at your garden." Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. "At last," shouted Toad, "my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow." "And now you will have a nice garden too," said Frog. "Yes," said Toad. "But you were right, Frog. It was very hard work."
Thank you so much. I invite you now to join in a period of meditation and prayer. In these times of anxiety in our hearts, in the face of chronic uncertainty, fear in our bodies in the face of ICE killings and raids and protests in our cities, perplexity in our minds in the face of policies and decisions about our place in the world, we take this time together in virtual community to breathe deeply and to relish together a moment of silence. For what we see happening in Minnesota, in Ukraine, in Gaza, in Syria, in Venezuela, in Myanmar, in myriad places around the world. May those who are persevering and enduring in these places of conflict know strength, resilience, and hope for an end to their suffering and a return of peace. We come before you with compassionate hearts for all those who are overwhelmed by the high cost of living, by government actions that have deprived them of health care, by public and private cruelty in this city and around the world. May they find friends and allies who will see them through these difficult days. We come before you with grateful hearts for city workers clearing away snow and trying to preserve power and services, for medical personnel attending to blizzard-related injuries. May those who are working in this city during this storm draw strength from our gratitude so they may persist until the storm ends. Finally, we pray for and keep in our hearts those in our community who are suffering, including John Ashone and Ella Grisky, and others whose names we now add to the chat as loved ones for whom we are praying this morning. We conclude our time of meditation and prayer by lighting candles of sorrow or joy. Please feel free, as Adam plays some additional music, to light a real or virtual candle in your own home.
You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving through the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are headed home again. No matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Be here, be still, breathe in awareness.
judgment and attachment. Accept what is gently with compassion. You are where you should be. Be here, be still. You are where you should be. Be here, be still.
What does it mean to trust? To trust is to rely on. To trust is to impute integrity to another. To trust is to believe that another will be true to his or her word. To trust is to allow someone to see the you that you hide from everyone else. To trust is to risk making yourself vulnerable before someone. To trust is to expect forgiveness from someone when you screw up. To trust is to know that nothing can separate you from another's love. Trust is the basis of secure relationship, of lasting friendship and durable intimacy. It is also the basis of a just economic system, money as an exchange of value, and civic peace. I have to admit that trust is taking a real beating right now. Between residents of Minneapolis and ICE, between our erstwhile NATO allies and the President of the United States, between consumers and big corporations, between US citizens and their supposedly democratic government. Trust is taking a beating. And that's bad for all of us, because trust is the glue that enables organizations and nations to function. Trust is worth fighting to protect and renew. This morning, I invite you to take a step back from the current chaos to take a look at trust a little more closely. Obviously, trust is a word we use in a number of different senses. We trust an idea to be true, for instance. I trust that gravity will continue to function as science tells me it does. I trust that the sun will come up tomorrow, as it does every day because of the Earth's rotation. Trust an institution to be reliable is another way in which to use that. I trust that Citibank will credit my account properly when I deposit a check and debit it properly when I cash a check or withdraw money. We can trust a person to be dependable. Trust with individual personalities, I think, has an additional dimension, not just to expect reliability and fairness, but also compassion, positive regard, positive disposition toward us, wanting what's good for us. It's what allows us to risk making ourselves vulnerable to someone. The person not only won't take unfair advantage of our vulnerability, but will actually affirm us in it. When we do something wrong, we can risk saying we're sorry and ask them to forgive us because we know they'll be predisposed to do so if we're genuinely sorry. Trust of this sort is possible because of a certain kind of love. Unconditional at some level, even though we may never fully experience love without conditions, especially from other people, because we're all masters of conditional love. That's what we learn when we grow up, what makes trusting so hard. Trust is more than an intellectual assurance. It's an assurance in your heart, in your core, which is why it's so hard to do. To trust someone else to something else involves our judgment, our discernment, figuring out who's really trustworthy. How do we know that? Well, it's part intuition. You listen to people, reserve them, determine what they value. Part experience. You see how they act, they react to us, to others, how they act out their values. In part, leap of faith. A willingness to take a risk, to let go of control, worry, anxiety, trying to be in charge all the time. To what or who, if anything or anyone, are we willing to give up control? On whom will we depend, rely when it matters most to us? As a person of faith and a person who has given himself to UU ministry, I've made a lifelong commitment to building trust with other people, with ideas and values that have come to matter to me, with some ultimacy that makes trust possible at all. But it is easy to get confused about trust, to get disappointed and frustrated, to feel like trust is a complete impossibility. In times and moments like that, I am brought back by voices from the past, sages who have thought longer and more clearly than I. This morning, in the midst of this time when nothing seems trustworthy, I want to remind you what 4 voices of wise Unitarian Universalist predecessors have said about trust, and what each of them thought was most fervently and most earnestly to be trusted. The first voice I hear is of Francis David from 16th century Transylvania, proclaiming the unity of God of the Christian scriptures. Egy az Isten. God is one. He exhorted people to believe, to trust this God known through scripture, bolstered by reason. Love is the essential nature of this God, he said. Love is what this God calls for from us. The most important spiritual function, he wrote, is conscience, the source of all spiritual joy and happiness. Conscience will not be quieted by anything less than truth and justice. For Francis David, conscience was the human agency through which trust operates. And the religious community exists to inform, to enliven, and to enlighten the conscience. That's why we come together each week. That's why we're here today, to expand our capacity to trust this one mysterious God, to celebrate the love that has called us into being, the love that has given us this most trustworthy gift called conscience, which in turn calls us to love and care for one another. The second voice I hear is that of Ralph Waldo Emerson, 19th century minister, lecturer, poet, exhorting us to come to know the God within each one of us. In his rhapsodic essay, The Oversoul, he writes, "When we have broken with our God of tradition and ceased from our God of rhetoric, then may God fire the heart with God's presence. It is the doubling of the heart itself, nay, the infinite enlargement of the heart with a power of growth to a new infinity on every side. It inspires in us an infallible trust." Emerson has a notion that there is something in each one of us, whether we're aware of it or not, that is connected to some greater overarching reality that is internal and external at the same time. The soul of in each one of us is part of the oversoul that includes all of us. When we open ourselves to this oneness by study and faith and intent, we experience awe and delight, as any one of us does when we receive new truths or have moments of insight or clarity about important, puzzling questions. When our hearts are fired with God's presence, the heart expands and we are inspired with infallible trust. We become, as Emerson says, sure that our welfare is dear to the heart of being. Not because we as isolated individuals are special to God, but because we know some part of ourselves to be one, connected with this source of all good, not isolated or separate from it at all. That's why Emerson's voice reminds us why we come together each week, why we're here today, to expand our capacity to trust our common membership in the Oversoul, to affirm our individual faith journeys as explorations of the same moral and spiritual landscape. The third voice I hear is that of Henry Nelson Wyman, 20th century philosopher of religion and a Unitarian minister who taught for many years at the University of Chicago. He wrote, "We are made for creative transformation as a bird is made for flight." Wyman spoke of God not as a personality, but as a process in which we are all invited to participate by virtue of being human. A process labeled creative interchange, a particular way that conscious entities like human beings come together and integrate perspectives different from their own in such a way that their own consciousness is changed, transformed by the encounter. It's a process that calls for openness to the other, open minds, open hearts, that is willing to risk changing and being changed by another. Wyman believed that the more intentionally we develop our capacity for this sort of creative interchange, the more deeply, both as individuals and as communities, we would increase our capacity to understand and provide a network of mutual support to one another. Indeed, creative interchange could transform the entire world if everyone made this his or her highest priority. In Wyman's view, creative interchange is that which is to be most deeply trusted. That's why we come together each week. That's why we're here today, to expand our capacity to trust the power of creative interchange with one another that might save us from evil and lead us to the best that human life can reach. And finally, the fourth voice I hear is that of Carl Scoville, my minister for over 20 years at King's Chapel in downtown Boston. Christian mystic, pastor, mentor, delivering the Berry Street Lecture, a tradition among Unitarians since 1820, at a General Assembly in Fort Worth, Texas. He was attempting to describe what lies beyond spirituality. What is at the heart of his faith? He tried to put this so-called great surmise about reality into words, and here is what he said. The great surmise says simply this: at the heart of all creation lies a good intent, a purposeful goodness from which we come, by which we live our fullest, and to which we shall at last return. This is the supreme mystery of our lives. This goodness is ultimate, not fate, not freedom, not mystery, energy, order, nor finitude. But this good intent in creation is our source, our center, our destiny. Our work on earth is to explore, enjoy, and share this goodness. Too much of a good thing, said Mae West, is wonderful. Sound doctrine, said Carl Scoville. After offering a brief overview of Universalist history, he goes on, but what changed my life and moved me to speak today and brought me down from my private Olympus was my own discovery, or the divine disclosure, that I, who trusted least, could trust this love, that I, who believed so little, could believe this love, that I, who wished above all to be self-sufficient, could receive this love and sometimes even live a small piece of it. I discovered with the psalmist that we can know the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. According to Carl Scoville, a good intent, a purposeful goodness at the heart of all creation is waiting to speak to and through our human consciousness as an experience of love that can change our lives. That's why we come together each week. That's why we're here today, to expand our capacity to trust this good intent, this purposeful goodness that enables us to love. 4 voices from our Unitarian Universalist tradition over the past 400 years, 4 ways of imaging trust: cultivating conscience, opening our individual souls to deeper communion with the Oversoul, dedicating ourselves to creative interchange, expanding our faith in and reliance on the good intent, the purposeful goodness at the heart of all creation. And we've only scratched the surface of our tradition. There are many other voices, women and men, past, present, and dare we hope, future, urging us to explore and deepen our capacity to trust. Where does that leave us then? The enterprise of building and rebuilding trust is a lifelong commitment. It requires of us open minds willing to accept new insights, open hearts willing to take risks. Trust in particular people, ideas, institutions will inevitably take a beating. Yet we continue our search for the reality that is trustworthy unconditionally. That reality some call God, the One, some call an intuition of the Oversoul, some call creative interchange, some call purposeful goodness. Ultimately, we experience trust as a gift, freely given to each one of us. We need only risk our expanding our faith, letting go of control or our illusion of control. That's what it takes to trust. Let me conclude by inviting you into a moment of meditation. Waking up each morning is an act of trust that this day will be worth living, that will bring us surprises and challenges worth the struggle, worth the pain. Some days our trust is bolstered. We love and we feel it. We help and appreciate that we can serve others. We wonder and insights arise. We hope and living exceeds our expectations. Some days our trust seems betrayed. We try to love, but find that everything we touch turns to ash. We want to help, but fatigue or despair overcomes us. We lose our sense of wonder and find ourselves merely plodding through our lives. We find our hopes dashed in ruins. On such days as these, as we stand amidst the rubble of our dreams and aspirations, may voices from our past and our present sing in our ears words, stories, images that we can use to begin the process of rebuilding trust, so that someday we too might add our own voices to the cosmic chorus of inspiration that will help invigorate and sustain a new generation of trust builders. So may it always be. Shalom. Blessed be, Insha'Allah. Aho Shanti. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me in singing our next hymn, The Lone Wild Bird. The lyrics will appear on your screen and are also available in your order of service. The lone wild bird in lofty flight is still with thee, nor leaves thy sight, and I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me. The ends of earth are in thy hand, the sea's dark deep and and far off land, and I rest in thee. Great Spirit, come and rest in me.
This week's offering will be shared with Undue Medical Debt. Undue Medical Debt is a national nonprofit whose purpose is to strengthen communities and families by erasing financially burdensome medical debt. To make a digital offering, please navigate to FIrstUBrooklyn.org, click Support Us, and use the Sunday Plate option, or alternatively, use the QR code provided. We receive your offerings with gratitude.
We're breathing. Good news. We're alive. Good news. We're here and no one can deny. I said good news. We're breathing. Good news. We're alive. Good news. We're here and no one can deny. You can break my heart. You can break my bones. But you can't break my spirit, cause my spirit is my home. You can take my money, you can take my time, but you can't take my spirit, cause my spirit is mine. We're breathing, we're alive, we're here, and no one can deny. Ain't that good news? Hey, we're alive. But you can't fool my spirit, cause my spirit is wise. You can bound my body, you can bound my day, but you can't bound my spirit, cause my spirit finds a way. Good news, we're alive. Good news, we're here, and there's no one. Ain't that good news?
Good morning, everyone. I am Tyrone Davis Jr. Yes, give a round of applause for that good news. Thank you, Kiana, virtual Kiana. Anyway, I am Tyrone Davis Jr. I go by he, him pronouns. I am your membership coordinator. And I just want to say thank you to our guest minister, Reverend Ned Wight, for reminding us that the wisdom of our UU ancestors and living voices are crucial sources of inspiration and wisdom as we strive for connection and love and, of course, trust at this moment in our global society. I also want to say thank you to Jay and the live stream team for your hard work this morning for making this happen. Thank you to Adam Pod and the Bay Ridge Living Room Choir and Candace and Sophia for opening up your homes today and opening up your voices and instruments. And of course, thanks to Bobby and John for their labor and always keeping our building safe and secure, but even more so on a day like today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we have this really wonderful tradition that we do in the sanctuary where we welcome our visitors. We like to know who our visitors are in the space so that we can see them and welcome them. Obviously, we're going to have to do that a little different today. If there are any visitors in this space, I want to invite you to type your name and the neighborhood from which you're tuning into the chat. I will read them out loud and then I will welcome you at the end. So if you're a visitor, put your name and neighborhood in. That goes for on Facebook and YouTube as well. If you're watching, Sophia's gonna keep an eye over there and put in some folks in the chat. And so let me just see if any names come through. Maybe we don't have any visitors today, but never know. Okay, we have a Christine from Bensonhurst. Welcome, Christine. Who else? Oh, you're welcome. Okay, we have UU of Smithston outside Pittsburgh, Reverend Tasha's congregation. We have a whole congregation watching today. Welcome. Let's see who else comes in. Okay. I feel like that might be it for today. So thank you all for coming and watching today's service. Yvonne has put an online virtual welcome form into the chat. Do us a favor and fill that out if you so wish. It's a great way for us to connect with you. You will receive a friendly email from me this week. You'll be put on our mailing list and you'll even get a name tag that will be ready for you if you ever want to come to the actual sanctuary, which we hope you do. Okay, so welcome all. I have a couple announcements today. Lots of changes, obviously, with the weather, so listen up. So there was to be a poetry event today, Poetry of Devotion and Doubt, that has been rescheduled to February 1st, okay? If you have any questions about that, you can contact Beth Evans. Her email is in our order of service, so join that on February 1st. There was a group to meet today to speak about religious naturalism. They are still meeting today, and that will be moved to Zoom. I believe Yvonne just put the link in. That'll be at 1 o'clock. If you have any questions, you can contact Maggie Norris, whose email is also in the order of service. The 100 Years War on Palestine with Professor Rashid Khalidi, that event has been rescheduled. Please keep an eye out for a new date. It will be announced at a later time. The men's group, which was supposed to meet tomorrow, Monday, has been canceled. So keep an ear out for when the next one will be. I want to notify y'all of a last call to join Soul Matters cohort. That is a new small ministry, small group that will be meeting to commit themselves to deepening the connections with each other and with ourselves, asking the big questions. Sounds really exciting. If you would like to join that, please do so by this Thursday, January 9th. January 29th. If you have any questions, you can contact Cindy Kerr, whose email is also in the order of service. And then lastly, we have a congregational meeting coming up on February 22nd at 12:45 p.m. in the sanctuary and online. A Zoom link will be coming at some point for that. I believe it's the same link that you used to watch service. So you can attend that both sanctuary and online. All are invited. Only members of the congregation in good standing may vote, however. So that is members who have signed the membership book at least 60 days before the meeting and completed a current year pledge form. Please come. If you are unsure of your voting status, please contact me at tyrone@FirstUBrooklyn.org. That is all of the announcements for today. So please, if you will, join us in our final hymn, Joy in the Morning. Lyrics can be found in your order of service or on the screen.
Sing that again. Joy in the morning.
We'll find joy in the morning. Joy in the morning. Joy in the morning. In the morning, we'll find joy.
We find hope in our children.
We find hope in our children. Hope in our children. Hope in our children. In our children, we find hope.
We find strength in each other.
We find strength in each other. Strength in each other. Strength in each other. In each other, we'll find strength.
There is love all around us.
There is love all around us. Love all around us. Love all around us. All around us. There is love. All around us. There is love. All around us. There is love.
Our benediction words of Project Plowshares. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love. Let peace fill our hearts, our homes and city streets, our world, our universe. So may it always be. Shalom. Amen.
And I invite you to stay with us here on Zoom for a time of fellowship and community. Reverend Ned Wight will also be with us, and there'll be an opportunity for you to go into breakout rooms if you so desire.
Thank you, Reverend. Thanks for being here with us today.
I'm going to try to unmute everyone so you can talk to each other. And there's a whole lot of you. So can I ask folks who'd like to go into breakout room to raise your hand? Okay. Great. Keep them up because it's going to take me a minute. All right.